Hello, and welcome to Hey Hi, Who Are You? I'm your host, Merike Hess, and we have a guest today who is a local photographer. She does product photography, couple photography. She's generally just a really creative person that I've known since high school, and I'm really excited for you guys to get to know her as well. Her name is Kaitlyn Mullin, and she runs the photography account and company called Captured by Kait. So, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi, it's so nice to see you. I feel like I haven't actually talked to you in real life for like forever.
Yeah, no kidding.
But congrats on the new house, by the way. That is so exciting. I can't believe it. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's why you're in this like little corner of my kitchen, because if I were to like rotate my camera, you'd be like, okay, so she's not really unpacked at all.
You're like sitting on a box, your camera's on a box, your coffee table's a box, but you have a
Yeah.
shelf up behind you, so that looks
Yeah,
pretty
we
good.
did. We did hang a shelf. I'm at my dining table, so there's that. My living room is like half complete. We ordered a bunch of furniture like a little too last minute, so we're still waiting for things to come in stock. So I've got my TV on a coffee table and my couch, but like nothing really else has showed up.
I guess it would have been nice to get it all done before like actual quarantine ended, but I guess whatever,
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter.
I'm probably not gonna do a whole lot
Yeah,
still.
right?
Like,
Like I feel like even though things are opening, it's not like you can still go everywhere or do
yeah,
anything.
right.
Yeah.
And like I moved from Cambridge to Elmira, so all my friends are in Cambridge. So unless they want to drive 30 minutes and then see me, I'm not going to see many people anyway.
Because you're not going to drive there.
I mean, I could, but
Unless they come see me, I just won't see them. Have a little dinner party. That'd be so nice.
I know. I said, Austin, my boyfriend, I said to him when we moved in, I said, of course, like there had to be a lockdown right now, because I said to him, I want to have like a fancy dinner party where we like dress nice and there's like some champagne. He's like, well, I'm kind of glad we're in lockdown.
He's like, I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound fun. And you're like, come on.
Literally, we've got like a solid 3 friends each, so we could have them all and still fit in our.
Whoa, that's a total party. All of your friends are coming over. I guess if you could introduce yourself in general to anyone who doesn't know you, I've known you since middle school, I think.
Middle school, yeah, I think middle school. So I'm Kate, from Captured by Kate. So I do family, couple, wedding, engagement photography, which is just like my part-time little side hustle. And then full-time, I do digital marketing and product photography. So that's like kind of like my little bio.
Oh, perfect. That's so
Yeah.
fun. And you do product marketing for Soapworks only, right? Or do you do it for any other companies too?
Just Soapworks right
Okay.
now. Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
So that's actually a really funny story of how I got that job. Whenever I tell people, they're like a little like taken back. The way I got this job was like such a shot in the dark. I was so blessed that I work there now. But I knew a friend who works in the warehouse, and I was saying to him, because I just graduated school, I was saying, oh, like who does your social media? And like in my head, I was like, oh, it needs some help.
You're like, because it looks bad.
I
Yeah.
was like, who does your social media? And they're like, oh, like we just do it like when we get a chance. And I was like, oh, I can help you. I'll do it for free. I just
No,
really
don't
wanted
undersell
experience.
yourself.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'll do it for free. Like, I just want experience to grow my resume. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to pay you. So I started part time, like 20 max hours a week. And then, like, slowly, I kept growing and growing. And now I'm full time on salary with benefits. And I'm like, how did this happen? What is my life?
No, that's amazing. Like you created your own job, basically. You were like, hey,
Yeah.
I see a hole that needs filling. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
sweet. There
And
you go.
as, as like I started working more hours, I would like like, oh, I can help with this too, and I can do this too. And then, yeah, like you said, I literally created my job description.
That's
And my boss was like,
awesome.
yeah, whatever you want to help us with, like, feel free. And I was like, okay.
That's sweet. But you literally were just like, I'm gonna write my own job description. I'm gonna not, I don't even have to give a resume. You guys just want my help and you need my help. Here we go. And you just signed up.
Yeah,
That's
it was
amazing.
crazy how it all worked out. Like, going in, I was like, this will be like my floater as I'm like looking for work, but it's been going on 2.5 years now.
Yeah, you've
And
been there for a long time. I feel like
yeah,
for a long while back, I was already like, wow, she got a cool job. Like, because you started posting about it. And I was like, oh, that's so fun. I've never heard of this company. It's been forever. Like, I feel like you've grown it a lot too. Like, everyone I know now knows about Soapworks because I talk about it all the
I know. I joke around with my, like, everyone in my family like calls me like the soap person because like I'm like low key obnoxious about it. I'm like, oh, like I work for a soap company, and then I'm telling them like all these fun soap facts that like no one really cares that much about. And I'm like, well, did you know this about soap?
They're like, you told us that 4 times last weekend when you were drinking.
Literally.
You're like
And
one
it's
glass of
funny.
wine in, and you're like 10 soap facts in.
That's my life. And so we have a pretty secret project that we're working on at work right now. But part of it was we were doing a bit of market research. So I bought like a online like soap from like 10 different companies, like besides my work. And when we were moving, we had like some help from my brother and my parents. And they were at my house for supper. And my mom said, oh, the soap in the bathroom's really nice. I was like, no, it's not.
Because it's a different company. You're like, no, 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 don't touch that soap. Spit it out.
I'm like, no, it's not. I don't like, don't, you're not allowed to like that
I feel like
soap.
you're so lucky with your job too, because all of your stuff is so aesthetically pleasing that like you can make any photo look so pretty. Like honestly, sometimes I take pictures of the soap that you guys sent me like last year, just because it looks so pretty, like in rainbow order. I'm like obsessed with it.
I wish my office was cleaner and not filled with boxes. I would show you like because I have so much soap. It's like insane. I have it like organized by color and it's like so aesthetic, like in my little cube shelving, like all the soap that's in it.
That's so fun.
If people came to my house and didn't know what I did for a living, they'd be like, okay, this girl is weird. Like she's just like hoarding all of
Like
this
those
soap.
weird like extreme couponers, you know, where like you go down to their basement and they have like that huge pantry that's like
Yeah.
800 soup cans and you're like, why do you need that?
That's me with soap. And I like giving it away to all my friends. It's like a little token of coming to my house. Is like you go home with
Yeah.
like a goodie bag of bar soap.
No, it's so fun. Totally. That's actually what I gave all of my whole family. I gave them Soapworks soap in their stocking for Christmas.
Oh, I love that.
I chose like different ones for their different skin needs, and I thought that was
Oh, that's cute. I like that
yeah.
idea. I might like steal that for like
Next
next
Christmas.
Christmas.
Okay. You have permission, but I require royalties for the idea. I was like, I don't remember if you did photography in high school, but I feel like you did. So like when did you start doing photography for fun and like then we can move on later to when it became a business?
So I did like toy around with it in high school. I never did the photography like class. Like, do you remember how PHS had the
Yeah.
photography class?
Yeah.
I I honestly like looking back, I wish I did because I focused so much on academics when I was in high school, like taking like all of the smart people classes like chemistry and like all the oh and I wish I focused on my like creative stuff more in high school, but I did play with it and play around with a camera in high school, but it didn't really start until college that I really got into it.
Right.
Um,
Wait, so what did you do in college? I feel like I know, but share with everyone else.
so I went through for journalism, which is it was a leap. I had, like I said, I focused a lot on academics in high school. I had it set out that I was going to do like this big, like fancy, like corporate type of job, like something really smart, like get my master's. And then I applied, I got accepted, and then like as I was like sitting with the feeling of like going to school for like psychology, I was like, eh.
You were like,
Like it
that's
didn't,
something I
I was
actually want.
excited for college, but I like my program didn't excite me at all. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna defer
Yeah.
and I'm gonna wait things out because I feel like I should be excited about what I'm going to learn and not like, oh,
Yeah,
so
like
I
before you've even gotten there, you shouldn't be hating class before you're even there, you know? Yeah.
so I took a year off. I worked and I've always like did creative writing, like personally. And
Yeah.
then I was like, I wonder what I could do with writing. And then that's like a spur of the moment. One day I was like, I'm gonna go through for journalism. And it did excite me at the time. But when I finished my program, I'm like, wow, the news is really depressing.
You've seen the other side of it now and you're like, I don't want to
Yeah,
do it every day. Yeah, true. But I feel like you probably still learned like tons that's going to be useful for so many things. Like even
yeah.
just like I feel like I mean, I don't know this, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like when you were in college, you kind of like opened up a lot. Like in high school, I feel like I never really like talked to you much, but then like once you were in college, I feel like I heard from you all the time and I was like, "Oh, it's so fun." She's like way more talkative and like out in the world, which I feel like maybe was like a good thing to like maybe everyone learns that in college and university anyway because everyone kind of like grows up a bit, but I don't know.
Yeah, I also think I kind of like came to terms with some of my demons, like as cliche as that sounds. Like
Yeah,
I
that's
was
true.
so insecure in high school and like I'm such an anxious person overall that I kind of like stayed in my little bubble. And then in college, I was like, what am I doing?
You're like, I don't have to feel that way. Open up.
Like
Yeah.
it could partly because I finally got help and got a prescription and I'm like, whoa, I'm actually not anxious all the time.
Oh,
I'm
that's awesome. That's so good. Oh my gosh, I want everyone to have that experience. Yes.
So partly I think it was growing up, partly I think it's because like I got my brain a little balanced out.
Definitely helps. But so in journalism school, did you learn photography at all? Was that part of the program or no?
That was like probably the biggest part of the
Oh, okay,
program.
cool.
Like it was like pretty 50-50 split between like focusing on photography and focusing on writing.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so that's like I said, that's kind of where it like really was like, aha, I really like this. Um, and then yeah, towards the end of college, I was like, I'm not really sure about the news part of things. And that's when was like, I want to do something a bit more creative. And I had planned actually to go back to school and do something else. And that was around the same time that I reached out to someone on Soapworks and was like, hey, I can do this for free. And it all sort of like worked itself out.
It's like the universe was like pushing you along, being like,
Yeah.
"Hey, this works for you." That's
Yeah.
awesome. What were you gonna go for school? What were you gonna go back to school for?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, it was just like a random idea.
It
Okay.
was like so I did my co-op. I did a paid co-op at Cambridge Times actually there.
Right.
And
That's so cool.
yeah, and it was fun, but a lot of news is really either boring or extremely depressing.
Especially in
So
Cambridge.
yeah, I don't want to giggle about it. But that's like my
Oh no, I'm gonna giggle.
criticism in life. Um, when I worked at Cambridge Times was the same time that that big shooting where that teenager
Yes, so
thought someone was happening. And I think that was like the biggest turning point in college for me where I was like, ugh.
you're like, this is too heavy. And yeah, and that is the hard part about news is like you don't get to choose what you're writing about. You're writing about whatever's happening. It's not like you're like, oh, I feel like writing about movies today. It's like, well, no, it's like depends on if movies are in the news that day. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like you kind of don't really get to choose your own adventure almost at all.
And then if there's nothing really happening in the world, then you're like doing what in like the journalism world is called a fluff story,
Yeah.
where it's like really random, boring stuff. No one really cares.
It's literally just to get a paper out that day.
Yeah. And then, especially because I was a co-op student, that was like my niche
Oh,
that they
you got
kept
stuck with
pushing.
the boring stuff. No,
Yeah.
that sucks.
Or I got to do chasing for them, which is basically like tracking down the sources for interviews and reaching out to them.
Boring.
And sometimes I would do the interviews and then like the other person would write it. So it was like, I'm doing all this work and then someone else is writing the article. That's lame.
Oh, and your name doesn't even get to be on it?
No, because I just asked the questions.
Oh, that
Yeah.
sucks. So you basically did it for them, but you don't get to like be the, oh, that kind of sucks.
Especially with interviews too, like a lot of it, like obviously it takes skill set. You need to be a good writer, but a lot of it is like,
Copy pasting.
like I came up with these questions.
You're like, I was there, I had to interact with this person, I had to put myself out there, and you get the freaking author title?
Yeah, I was
Oh,
like,
that
oh,
sucks. Yeah.
I'm over it.
Yeah. No, I can see why, like, especially if you're like creative, like having that sort of job where you don't really get credit for it and you don't really get to be very creative within the job very often, that's kind of not. I can see
Yeah.
why you didn't want to stick with it.
Yeah, so and then did like I started with product photography for work, and then I have the cutest little niece in the world, and I would always take her pictures. And my sister-in-law, I say that I'm not married, my hopefully soon to be sister-in-law was like, was like, you know what? Like, I know a couple people who would want like photos done too. And I was like, okay, sure. And then that's kind of where like Captured by Kait was born.
Yeah.
And it was I think it's partly because I'm in Elmira that word of mouth traveled so fast and people started messaging me on Facebook like, hey, like you did so and so's photos, like I'd love to do photos. And I was like, okay, maybe I should like start something for real. And then
Yeah.
I made my Facebook page, my Instagram, and then
Well, that's
I
so
don't,
great to have like what's it called? Like demand before you even started. Like people were already asking for you and you didn't even like your company didn't even exist. That's like
yeah,
the
I know. I was like,
no,
I'm
that's super
famous. I'm
cool.
a big deal in Elmira.
You're like on the street and you're like, have you heard of me? Honestly, when did you start Captured by Kait? Was that like 2 years ago then? Or
um, yes.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't exactly matter, but I feel like it's hard with the pandemic to even really like
I
count
know.
it in.
Like, what is time right now?
It's like I still say the other day, and I mean 2019.
um, so Christmas 2019, I did Christmas photos without like a business.
Right.
And then a few months after that was when I like launched Capture by Kate. So January, February 2020.
Oh, so you only got started a little bit before the pandemic then.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. So yeah, you didn't really get much time to like get the ball rolling, but you've still been
No.
somehow been keeping it alive, which is amazing.
Yeah, so when like COVID like really hit the fan, I did like porch photos that like a ton of
Yeah, those are
photographers were
so
doing.
cute.
And that I think was like the moment where I really like marketed for myself and got my name out there because I did all of those for free. And I would say like half of the people that I did porch photos for, I have reshot like for a full
Oh,
session
wow.
with. So that was like a game changer for me.
Yeah, that's
I
a
was
really good like I
bored.
yeah, like you were literally just doing it for fun, but that actually like worked out. Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
You got
and
like a sampler.
yeah.
That's awesome.
um, yeah, and then a lot of them have been repeat customers for shoots. And despite everything with COVID, I've been so busy with photos this year. Like I'm super grateful.
That's
Like,
awesome.
yeah.
Wow. Like, do you even have like time for it outside of your full-time job? Like, wow.
Um, at the beginning, I was really bad at like managing both because I'm the type of person that if someone's like, "Hey, can you do this?" and "Can you do it like the minute you get home from work?" I'm like, "Sure."
You're like,
But I've gotten a lot better at like prioritizing myself and like knowing like what I can handle.
yeah,
So,
not saying yes when really you should probably say yes at a different time or no or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but I like it because there seems to be like the hot times of the year and then the times that are a bit slow. So even if like there's a few weeks like Christmas is crazy and like everyone wants fall photos. If there's like a chunk of 2 weeks for photos and I'm like so busy, I know that like there's gonna be that like downtime where people are like right now, no one wants to go out in minus
February
15.
randomly.
So it's good that way that like even if I do get a bit overwhelmed, I got those big breaks in
Breaks between,
between.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's nice that you have your full-time job too, so that you don't have to feel like that horrible stress of like, oh no, I need to book this many clients or whatever. Like you kind of get to relax a little and still enjoy it a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm such an anxious person. I like rely on structure and routine. So yeah, having my full-time job is like my rock for me. Even if it
Yeah.
was part-time, just having like bi-weekly,
Something.
I know that there's gonna be money rolling into my bank
Yeah.
account.
No,
Just like,
seriously. I don't know how people like I'm very, very impressed with people who do their like own business full time. Like whatever it is, like starting out, I don't know how people have the balls to just be like, this is how I'm gonna make money, whether it works out or not. Like, here we go. I don't
yeah,
know.
and just dive in
Like
like
having to
with
make
your
rent
job.
payments or mortgage payments or car payments or whatever, and you're just like, here we go, whether I sell enough like bags or whatever you're making or like you're like have enough clients, like I don't know, it's so scary.
Yeah, I like kudos to
Oh,
anyone doing
totally.
that, but I could never.
I know, like, so I guess your goal isn't to make Captured by Kate a full-time thing then?
So when you sent the list of questions, that
Yeah.
was like the first time I've ever really thought about it. So I like was reading your list of questions and I started having like an existential crisis. I was like, oh
Oh
my
no,
God,
I'm so sorry.
I was like, do I ever want to go full time? And it's tough because I think that's subconsciously my dream is to do that full time. But at the same time, I love working for Soapworks so much. And
Mm,
again, that structure, I rely on it so much. So I think like if Captured by Kate ever really picked up to the point where I would need to be full time, I think I would still want Soapworks in my back pocket. And I think I
yeah.
would do that part time. So I
I
guess
think
the answer is yes and no.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. Like, I think actually a lot of small businesses, I feel like, or maybe creatives in general, I don't know, but feel like um that there's some sort of weird push that like it's important to go full time. Like if you don't do it full time, it's not successful or it's not important or whatever. But I don't think that that's true. Like I think having it as a side hustle is kind of great, especially like you said for anxious people or for anyone who just like really wants stability. Or maybe if you did Captured by Kate full time, you wouldn't even like it anymore. So like having it as a side hustle is like I think perfect. I don't know. I don't think there's
Yeah,
any reason to go full time if you don't want to.
there's a lot of pressure like this, like especially with like hustle culture too, like everyone expects you to just like be this like large success story overnight and it's not realistic for a lot of people, like
No.
unfortunately like that's not really how the world works.
Yeah.
And yeah, it can be stressful because like as a small business everyone's always like, oh, how's it going, how's it going, how's it going, like are you going to do this full time, well don't you want to do this full time, and I'm like I don't know.
Yeah, well, or it's like sometimes I feel like with small side hustles too, it's like you said when people ask how are you doing, how's it going, and you're like, oh, I actually haven't shot, like for you an example could be like I haven't shot a session for like 3 months, and they're like, oh no, are you like closing down? And it's like, no, I just haven't done it in a little while. Like I feel that way with my like flower crown business sometimes. I'm like, because I always have a full-time job and then I do whatever side hustle on the side, and then like with the little C like flower crown stuff, people are like, "Oh, like how's that business going for you? Like is that like are you done with that?" And I'm like, "Not done with it. It's just like a side thing. I'll do it whenever I want to." Or like I just got an order of 10 flower crowns for a wedding in the summer. So
Oh,
like then
congrats.
I'll do like that then. Yeah, thanks. And
Yeah,
like I don't know. Yeah.
I think people like put to me the only way that like society like sees success is fiscally like with a dollar
Mhm.
value, and that's like not necessarily true. Like I know someone who does like resin art, and it started because she was so depressed and had like no real coping mechanism, so she started doing resin art.
Yeah.
And then she's like, hey, I could make money from this if I'm doing it anyways.
Yeah.
And that is success. Like she's found something that she likes to do and she's doing it, and it may not be making her enough
Full-time
money to
money
pay
or
her
whatever.
bills or like millions of dollars, but she's doing it, and I think that's success in and of
So cool. And
itself.
success, even that she put herself out there at all, like was even like, does anyone like this? And even like before that point when she started selling them, like success that she found something she really likes that helped her too. Like, who cares if no one ever sees her resin art? Like, that's amazing that that helped her. That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it, to me, people put so much pressure on creative people to like have this big dollar sign behind what they're doing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's great if it does, like that's amazing, but
Yeah.
that's not everyone's goal. Not everyone is doing things just for the money. And I think like seeing people's success only on a financial level isn't even really fair.
Yeah, well, like, because you could also be making, like, if you did go full time with Captured by Kate and you were making all this money, but like, I don't know, that doesn't necessarily mean your life is better, and that doesn't necessarily mean that your photography is even better. Like your photography is already really good and you're doing it part-time. So like I don't think that there's any like scale that suddenly says, "Oh, you made it. You made it. Like you're a real photographer now." Like I don't know. Yeah. I think it's really funny too with like creative people like where it's you like when do you start labeling yourself as what you actually do? Like I feel like we're all really hesitant about like I feel like you probably are sometimes afraid to say like I'm a photographer. Like at least I feel like if someone were to ask what I do, I'd be like, I like sometimes do something creative and
Yeah,
that
I think I'm like the same way. I'll say I'm a photographer in the sense that I do that for my full-time job, but
yeah.
whenever someone's like, "Oh, like I see like your stuff online." I'm like, "Oh yeah, like I do that on the side for fun, like nothing serious."
You like downplay it
All
for some reason.
consistent.
You
I
know, you like somehow have to make it sound less like serious just in case they like I don't know what is that? I don't know.
don't Can we break that
So
habit? Like,
with like creative stuff, it's really hard to price yourself. Like how did you start doing that? Especially with photography, it's such a like non-tangible thing. So I feel like pricing is really hard.
I started much lower than I should have.
Everyone does. I feel like
Yeah.
everyone unvalues themselves so much.
I kind of like researched the market a little bit. Like I like Googled what other people were charging it in the area and like how long they've been doing it and things like that. And then I set my price point significantly lower for two reasons. One, I was just starting out, it seemed fair.
Yeah.
And I'm not an expert. I don't have a fancy studio. So I'm going to put my price a little bit lower for that reason. And two, I think some of the prices are just absurd. And
Wedding photographers are so expensive, like thousands of dollars. I never knew that until my sister was getting married, and I was like, "What the heck? That is so."
yeah,
Yeah.
and I wanted it to be accessible for more people. Like not everyone can afford like a $900 couple like an hour photo session. So
Yeah.
that was kind of like where I got my prices from. And then when I felt like a little bit more confident, I like pushed them up a bit higher where it felt like I was truly giving myself what I should be giving myself.
Yeah,
And
like
that's
actually paying yourself a wage that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, while still maintaining that like affordable price point because again my sister-in-law was telling me she spent something crazy like $2,500 on her wedding and I'm like
So much. And usually wedding photographers are only there for like a few hours. Like, oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it is a lot of work. I get it. I'm not trying to
it is a
downplay
lot
what
of
they
work.
do, but it's just very expensive. Oh my God. Well, and especially like we don't live in Toronto or New York or like, somewhere where like like the demographic is more likely to have a little bit of money. Like not that we live in a poor area, but
Yeah.
like Cambridge and Elmira aren't necessarily like, Wall Street. So,
And I'm lucky that I'm in the position where I'm doing this part-time. Like I'm not relying on this income solely. So I feel like I have like a greater room to be a little bit lenient on my pricing.
yeah.
With other photographers, they are expensive, and I don't want to dismiss that their work is not worth the price. Because
Oh, yeah.
but if they're relying on that for their full income, I totally get the price point. But
Yeah.
again, I have that flexibility, so I like to keep things a little bit
Right. That
on the
makes perfect sense. Yeah. Well, because if they're doing it for their full-time job, like you were saying, it's super seasonal. So
cheap.
like they have to basically make bank in the summer. So like during wedding season, because otherwise they're kind of like they have no job, basically, unless they get like a serving job or like something.
Yeah, it's very sporadic. Again, that's why I love I love shooting photos, but I don't know if I would have it in me to go full time without having
Yeah.
like a company behind me because I rely so much on that structure.
Yeah, no, totally. I'm rooting for you to make it as big as you want it to be. Have you already booked a couple sessions for when everything opens up a little bit?
Yeah, so I just finished my first wedding, which was crazy,
Wait,
and then
like this week?
yeah,
Wow. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's so fun. Wow.
perfect timing, perfect timing. We kept on like when they were like extending things and then not extending things, like we kept like a close watch. Like, okay, we have a date. Let's hope it doesn't infringe on that, and it didn't. So
Oh, yay.
it was really really fun. It was the cutest little ceremony. It was the bride, the groom, and their two kids, and that's it. Yeah,
Oh,
really
wait,
sweet.
so you were in like their little bubble of like intimacy. That's so
Yeah, it
cute.
was really
Oh.
sweet. And
Oh
then
my
I've
gosh.
got some coming up this weekend, a maternity shoot and then an engagement shoot, which engagement shoots are like my favorite.
Because they're so in love and so excited. It's so cute. Oh,
I know, I love them.
wait, so is it like it's an engagement shoot like they're already engaged? It's
Yeah,
not
they're already
okay.
engaged.
Not like one of those where they hire an photographer for the engagement. Oh my God. Have you done one of those?
I did that at Christmas
Did you
and
cry? I would have cried.
I did cry. Um,
Oh.
it was actually a close friend of mine,
Oh.
Jack, and his now fiance Jordan.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he messaged me, and he's best friends with my boyfriend, and he was talking to us the one day when he was over at the house, like pre-COVID, saying like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna propose." Blah 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 blah. I don't know when. And then I said, oh, "You should do like one of those photo shoots, and I will do it for you."
Oh my God. Oh,
And
that's so special. That's so lucky.
yeah,
Oh.
so I'm not sure if I cried because I had like a personal connection or if I cried because I'm an emotional person. I think I
Probably
think it
both.
might have been the emotional person part because right before we started this Zoom, I was working on some of the wedding photos that I did, and I was like, I'm starting to get emotional.
Oh.
Like looking at them, I'm like, they're so in love.
Oh, that's so exciting. Oh my gosh. Like, literally, wait, did they have like a party after the ceremony? It was just the four of them.
they had like cake and pizza, and I got to have cake and pizza with them, which was fun. And
Oh,
then they went home and had like a really intimate night, like just the four members of the family. It was really sweet. And I've been to tons of wedding. I'm like, if there's a wedding that someone's going to, I'm like, bring me as your plus one because I love weddings.
aw,
I've been to a lot of weddings and I've never seen what they did at the ceremony. They did what's called a sand ceremony. So it's when a
yeah.
blended family gets married.
When
So
a
it was
what family?
a blended
Oh,
family.
blended oh, because their kids are from two separate families?
Yeah, so what they did was
Oh,
like they had four glasses of sand in a big jar, and then the bride would pour her sand in, representing her part of the marriage, and then the groom would put his sand in, representing him as an individual. Then they would pour together, and then each kid would pour, and then representing like their part to the family. And then at the end, they would all pour the sand in together at once, like representing how their families are blending. And I was like, that is
wait,
so cute.
no wonder you cried. That's so cute. Oh my God.
Like that is the cutest thing I've ever seen.
I love that so much.
And
Oh,
I'm like sitting there with my camera like,
your hands are shaking.
I keep my cool. I try and keep my cool during an event, and then I'll go home and get emotional about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Cry editing their pictures.
Oh, wow, editing must be like I would find editing the really fun part. I don't know if you like editing or is it tedious?
A bit of both. I love it because I get to listen to a podcast or watch TV in the background as I'm doing it. And I don't know, like everyone when it comes to photography thinks like it's all about the camera, which it is. Like all of like your manual settings, getting the lighting right and whatnot. But so much of it is editing.
Oh,
Like
totally. Like if you gave your clients raw photos, they would be like, what is this?"
I had a client ask for them and I was like, you don't want them.
You're like, "You don't want to see your skin without editing." No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So mean. But like you're like, "You don't want them. You're not gonna what are you gonna do with these photos that have like
Yeah.
doesn't look
And
good?"
like I shoot in raw, like the raw format on a camera, and like if I sent them the raws, they wouldn't even be able to open them without the right
Yeah, well, because like, don't you have to? Oh, like they're really big files too, right?
huge.
Yeah, yeah. So you're like, do you want 20 gigabytes of photos you can't use?
But yeah, so much of it is editing. So that's my favorite part because I get to put it all together and bring it to life and cry a little bit at my desk.
Do you ever like get them printed for them? Like, I don't know if that's a thing you would do, but do you do it?
I do. So I have a lab in Guelph of a friend. They've given me their wholesale rate so I can get the prints for like really cheap there. And then my
Oh, cool.
clients pay like pretty on par to like Walmart and whatnot, but I package it all pretty and
Oh my God, if someone wanted to order like a special like wedding book with all their photos in it, that have they done that? That would be so fun. I would be so happy getting paid to scrapbook.
this family was like, I think I may want an album. And I'm like, yes.
You're like, please order one. I want to make one so bad. Oh my God, you just put on a rom-com and make like, oh, just cry while you make this beautiful booklet.
that that's a good idea. I didn't even think about a rom-com. Like imagine like The Fault in Our Stars or
Just
like
playing and you have candles.
Time Traveler's Wife. Oh,
Austin comes in, there's like rose petals and candles, and he's like, ooh, and you're like, no, this isn't for you. This is for me.
this is for my soul. I love a good cry. I don't know why there's a stigma around crying for men, and I say this to Austin all the time.
It feels good. I mean, it feels horrible.
I
It feels good at the same time.
I love to cry. If I don't get my weekly cry, like it's not a good week. Like I got I love crying.
Well, it's like an actual like release. Like you know how
Oh
some men
yeah.
specifically, I mean, not to shade men because men are good people too, but like but like when men say like I haven't cried since I was 8 years old, it's like so What's
Why?
wrong with you? Like
Why
that's
are you holding on to this?
yeah, like how have you not had something bad enough happen? Not even bad. Like how have you not been happy enough to cry? How have you not been sad enough to cry?
Right?
Where's the emotion? Is anyone home? Like, hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
Why is there, like I said, why is there this stigma around crying? It's amazing. I love to cry. I cry at commercials. I cry at during editing. I cry when I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I've laughed too hard.
Also, when I'm angry, I always angry cry. I can't get through okay, this is why I'm so bad at arguing is because like I can't get my point out without crying and then it immediately discounts everything I've said.
Yeah, I'm like that too. Like
Worst.
I'm arguing with someone and I get so worked up, I just cry.
I
And then
know.
it's like, well, now you're not taking me
And then they're
seriously.
comforting me and I'm like, "No, I'm mad at you." You work from home most of the time then, I guess, because you don't drive to Vaughan all the time. Or do you?
No, no, I work like pretty remote. So like a
Mhm.
lot of what I do is from home, which is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
I've come to learn. Um, but before COVID, I would go up pretty often. Um, but I don't think I've been to Vaughan in 7 months.
Oh my God, true. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess once everything shut down, most people stopped going
Yeah.
to work in general. Yeah. Huh.
And especially since they're in the GTA, like my boss was like, you know what, we're better safe than sorry. Like you can just work from home. There's no real reason for you to come in. Like we can all just communicate on Zoom,
Yeah, and I
text.
guess that's why you have so much soap at home is so you can take photos and like do videos and stuff with it.
Yeah, I have, yeah, I'm prepared. I'm stocked. I can do it all from home for right now.
Nice. I love
Yeah.
all of your homemade TikTok videos of like all your like how to wash this garment and whatever. They're actually so useful. I like actually washed a stain out of something with your video. It was awesome.
Yay! Again, I'm such an anxious person. Like when I first started, I was like, I'm not making work at TikTok because I'm too insecure to get behind a camera and I don't want to do that. And I'm just like, screw it.
Yeah, I mean, like at a certain point it's like who's gonna judge me and what's the problem? Like I feel like yes, being in front of the camera is really weird. I mean, like I don't know if you watched my first podcast episode, but it was really painful.
I know you did good.
Especially like talking to yourself, like making a TikTok or making a podcast or whatever it is when you don't have someone else on the other side. Like right now is easy because I'm talking to you, but like if I'm
Mhm.
talking to myself, it's like so awkward and everything sounds anyway. Yeah, no, I get it. But you've done a really good
You
job with
listen
them.
to that playback and you're like, oh my God, my voice sounds like this.
Yeah, and you listen to it so many times as you're, especially with TikTok, while you're listening to it, and you're putting a little like the caption or you're putting the sticker, and you have to like listen to it over and over and over again so that you can get the timing
Oh,
right. That's the
and then it's
worst.
in your head all day, your own voice.
Yeah, and you're like hearing like your step-by-step instructions about doing laundry, and you're like, I know, I recorded that myself.
When I do Uno's TikTok, I am that person. My cat has his own TikTok.
Oh my God, what is it? Plug it. I want to follow.
Um, we're kind of a big deal on TikTok. We have 28,000 followers.
Oh my God, what is his TikTok?
Uno's journey.
Who knows Journey? Oh my God, everyone follow. Go right now.
Please, if my cat can get famous enough to pay my mortgage, that's like a dream come true.
Yeah, or famous enough to at least pay for his surgeries. That would be great.
Yeah, we got really lucky. Like when we found him, we started a GoFundMe, which was amazing. Um, I'm just kidding though. He doesn't have to make money. We'll keep him around.
Oh,
But
he doesn't have to earn his keep.
but even when I'm filming his TikToks, like the one that I filmed was with that song like I want you to be happier. And as I'm
Yeah.
like editing the text and timing it, it's just like that same 10 seconds of that song in my head. And like the whole day, I'm like walking around my house like I'm cleaning. I'm like, I want you to be happier.
Yeah, I can't really relate to people that aren't on TikTok anymore, unfortunately.
No, it's, it, I love it though. I love TikTok so much. And I remember when like TikTok was like first coming out, how everyone would like shit on it. And I'm like, I joined it like, what is everyone talking about? And then I was sucked in, and I
It's such a
I
happy
love it
place.
so much.
I feel like it literally makes my day every day. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I watch TikToks mostly when I'm like on the toilet because like that's what you need. You need to be on your phone and you should be laughing while you're doing it. So
I
like
love that. And it's true. I think if someone's like, you're watching it while you're in the bathroom, bye. You're lying if you don't do that.
it's really funny if like my dad sometimes will be like in the house and I'm like in the bathroom and he just hears me laughing in the bathroom and he's like, what are you doing in there? I'm like, watching videos. It's on that, not on that topic, but I don't know, a little bit of a side topic from that is I've been asking everybody what their favorite like book or movie or like musician is or like anything like that because I feel like that sort of says a lot about
If
people.
that says a lot about a person, I'm really boring because in high school, George Orwell, 1985, my favorite book, hands down to this day.
Really? Is it,
Yeah,
do you reread it like often or do you just from the first time you read it, you still love it?
I still love it. I've reread it like probably like 5, 6 times, and it's
Oh,
still
wow.
my favorite. Yeah, and
Isn't there a movie of it? Or, I don't
like
know.
an older film. They
Yeah,
should redo it though. That would be a cool movie.
yeah, that'd be a cool like remake for sure. I feel like with better like photography and I mean videography and whatever, it'd be way cooler now. But but I imagine that isn't your favorite movie, 1984.
No. The Breakfast Club, which is so cliche, everyone says that. The Breakfast Club, Juno, and Step Brothers.
Juno is so good. I can quote all of Juno. I've seen it so many times.
I love Juno so much.
So much. No, that's such a good one. Oh, well, actually, that's a very good mixture of movies, I feel like. That does say a lot about you. I feel like those three is a very good mixture because it's like one really funny one like, I mean, a classic Breakfast Club is just classic. And then like
Mhm.
Juno is like hilarious and kind of heartwarming and like cute.
And as a kid, I probably not a kid, as like a preteen, I would fall asleep to movies. Like that was the only way I would fall asleep at night, and it was always Breakfast Club or Juno. And
Aw.
then I think like it just got stuck with me that I've seen it literally like 9 million times, that it's just like my favorite now. And I could rewatch all three of those movies infinitely and it would still be as good. Step Brothers in particular is just like peak comedy.
Nothing will ever be funnier. True. That movie is really funny. I always like kind of avoided it because I thought it was going to be like stupid boy humor, blah blah blah. And maybe that's like me just trying to be cooler than other people. But then I watched it finally, like some guy I was dating like in like high school or something. He like made me watch it and I was like, ugh, whatever. And then we watched it and I was dying laughing and I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, why have I been depriving myself of this top tier comedy?" Like
so good, so good.
actually, you mentioned before too you listen to podcasts. Are there any ones that you like really like to listen to?
I love true crime
Me
podcasts.
too.
I'm embarrassed, but I love Call Her Daddy.
No,
And
I've never listened to it, but I've heard it's really popular. I
oh,
do follow their Instagram too.
it's very vulgar, like a guilty pleasure of mine. Oh my God, this is so cringy. I love internet drama and like celebrity drama. So the H3 podcast with Trisha Paytas, the most problematic person on the internet. I love that. 90 Day Fiance. So
Yes. Oh
bad.
my God. That like I get so uncomfortable watching it, but I can't look away.
Um, like all of the weird ones on TLC, like extreme couponers, hoarders.
Yeah. Do you watch Dr. Pimple Popper? Because I was watching that on the weekend and we were eating soup. It was like me and my cousins and we were like in my cottage and we were eating soup. And like literally as we were eating pea soup too, so it's like yellow,
Oh,
like thick soup. We're watching this guy get like huge blobs removed from his head and they cut it open and it starts oozing and like you can't stop looking. I don't even know
no.
why I was watching it. I just couldn't stop watching.
And it's satisfying
It's
too.
so satisfying.
Yeah, it's real. My Austin is so grossed out by pimple popping. My dad is so grossed out by it. And I'm like, no, look at it. It's like, imagine the relief they must have felt.
Watch the ooze. We also kind of touched before on like mental health a little bit, but I guess with like the pandemic, I've just been like really liking talking with everyone about like sort of how they've been coping with not even necessarily pandemic mental health, but just in general, like what sort of things have really helped you and like I don't know, any stories or experiences.
I thrive on structure and whatnot. So the pandemic is like the most unstructural thing ever. Everything
Yeah.
is changing weekly. Like things are open or they're not open. I'm going into work. I'm not going into work. That has like really thrown me for a loop. Like I'm a pretty anxious person. So for a while I was like, what is going on? um,
Totally.
I'm the type of person that thrives on being busy. So that's kind of been like my coping mechanism is like I will just keep myself occupied, whether it be photos and like overloading myself, which seems like a death trap. It also really helps me just like distract myself.
Yeah.
So that, and
So
I
like
think
you like you booked all those like all those porch photography like sessions just because you were like trying to fill up your time, but that actually ended up being a good business decision, which is great.
yeah. And it also was just because I was like, even at the beginning of COVID, just so stir crazy that I was like, I need to get out of the house. I need to do something. Like, I don't know. It was it's so weird to like look back because now it kind of feels like a bit normal, which is
It
even
does
weird.
feel, it's really weird how normal it feels to be home all the time. Like I felt like cuz things started opening up yesterday, right? And I was like, "Oh, I could go to a cafe," but I was like, it feels kind of illegal. Like I know it's open, but I was like, I kind of like I don't know if I should. So then like I didn't end up
Yeah.
going and now I've been in my slippers all day again and I'm like, "Oh, like but things are open. I can go out, but it doesn't feel normal anymore." I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, the beginning I think was the hardest, and I think that's the case for everyone.
Yeah.
But keeping busy has really been my crutch, and I don't know. I think like you said, it feels weird doing normal things now, like going to a cafe and doing all of this. Like, I think I found my new structure, and that's staying at home. So, I imagine when I really like need to like get out of that, when things really go back to normal, it'll probably throw my system out of whack again.
I think that'll be a really weird change for everyone, or at least like anyone who has any sort of anxiety, which I do too. And like I'll like I feel guilty for saying this, but like a while ago, I literally was like, I don't want things to go back to normal. Like I'm afraid of things opening up because I don't know how I'll cope with it. Like I don't know once I like am expected to be in big groups again, or like when I don't know when everything opens up, I don't like when the world starts being busy, I feel like I'll just be like, no, 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 I want to go home, you know? So I feel, yeah.
Yeah, I think like I had the same thought where I know we should be going back to normal, but I don't even know if I want to go back to normal because I've gotten myself so like used
Adapted,
to
yeah.
this and adapted to like this new lifestyle. And like when there's a big monumental change in my life, that's when I'm at like my peak with anxiety.
Yeah.
Maybe part of like what you were saying, like I'm like, I don't know if I wanted to go back to normal because like I've settled in this new routine and I don't want my routine to be changed and then I'm gonna be starting from scratch. So I don't know. It's weird.
Get
It,
a day at a time and like you said, keep busy and like kind of you know what helps and like you said that you've found like the proper meds that have been really helping you, which is awesome. Like a lot of people I think are still trying to find what actually helps them, so that you found that is really great.
yeah, and I tell everyone I know, like, get medicated. Like, if you are really struggling with something, like, just do it. There's no shame in having a prescription. I've been on my prescription now since I was like 18, 19.
Definitely it's something worth trying like to be open-minded to like I mean I'm not like a mental health physician by any means, but I mean, like, I think a lot of people are like, oh no, it'll go away, like whatever thing I'm dealing with. But if it is an actual chemical imbalance, then like you are going to need to be medicated unless it, like, otherwise this problem will never go away unless you find some like miracle cure by like working out 4 hours a day or something. I don't know, but like,
And there is that stigma. Like I remember like when I first like really started opening up to people like how I was feeling. They're like, just drink more water and do yoga. And then I'm like, yeah, like that may work for
well, and
you.
that's a nice thing to improve your life, but that doesn't mean it'll solve the problem.
Like, don't you think if drinking water like cured me, I would have been drinking more water? Like
Yeah, like, don't you think if it was that easy, then my life would be perfect? Like, if that solved everyone's problems, I mean, then none of us would be anxious or depressed, you know? Like,
yeah, and water is great. Working out is great. It will make you feel good.
of
But
course,
for some people, that's not
enough.
how it works.
Yeah, that's a good place to start for sure. Like, that's a good, like, ground, like, whatever foundation to start on. But yeah, no, totally. Like, actually, my thing recently has been like that has actually helped me so much recently has been I've been doing a dance workout every single day for half an hour every day. And it's like this amazing like gay YouTuber guy that like he does dances with his partner a lot of the time. And sometimes he'll have his best friend in the back. And he just like hypes you up. And like they're not very hard to do. Like they're not like really hard dances. So you basically just feel like super empowered and like then you get like your dopamine hit by like getting all like sweaty
Yeah.
and whatever. And it just like that has actually been basically the only reason I've been okay the last few months is like this awesome
Wow.
dance guy. And like that isn't I'm not to say I haven't cried in the last few months or anything, but like if I hadn't been doing these dance workouts as a foundation, I would be like I mean, this podcast wouldn't exist. Like, I swear, I wouldn't have started this because I wouldn't have been feeling okay.
Oh, well, I'm glad it helped.
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna plug him. He's called the Fitness Marshal. He is amazing. I recommend him to everyone.
Fun too. Like that's like such a good way to get in a workout because like
It's literally just a dance party with like someone who feels like a friend. Like, it's really fun.
yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Like, he'll literally be like, "Look at you, sexy girl. Like, do that thing." And you're like, "Yeah." And you're like, "Yes, that's me."
Working out, it can be so dreadful. You have to love it or
You
you
have to find a
won't do
fun
it.
way. Yeah. It has to be like if you can find a fun way to work out, then that is like I mean that's the only way I'll do it now. Like literally I refuse to do anything else. I guess as like a sort of closing thing, I would was wondering if like you wanted someone to start a creative project or start a creative side hustle or anything, like what's kind of the thing that gave you the confidence to start or like what would you tell someone to be like get started, do the thing?
Hmm, that's a big
I
question.
know, but like I feel like anything helps. I feel like sometimes you never know who's gonna relate to what you say too. So
Like Nike, like just do it and go for it, and it doesn't have to be this big $1 million business right away. Like if you get one client, if your only client is someone that you know, like as long as you're doing something that you love, then you are successful and like you don't have to listen to those pressures telling you to go full time and like the hustle culture. Like if it's enough for you to just do it like every now and then start there. That's
yeah.
my big piece of advice.
No, it's actually yeah, Nike like really trademarked a good slogan. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Actually, wait, can I see Uno? Is he
Yeah, I
around?
think he's meowing somewhere and he likes to like hide. So let me give me like 1 second. I'll go get
Okay.
him.
Hi, buddy. Oh my God, he's so much bigger than the last photo I saw. He's so
Oh,
cute.
he's huge. Look at
Oh.
the camera.
Hello. You're oh, don't make fun. Look at the camera. He can barely see.
Oh,
Oh
and
my
he's dead.
gosh, he's
He's
so cute. Do you want to
cute.
plug yourself like officially like what your handle is and where like if you have a website or anything, then shameless plug yourself.
So it's Captured by Kait on Instagram and Facebook,
And it's
and it's captured.
Kait, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The name is Kait, Captured by Kait, and capturedbykate.ca. And then if you want to follow my cat, it's
Yes.
it's Uno's Journey on Instagram and Uno's Journey on TikTok.
Yes, Uno's gonna blow up. He already did. Oh my God, 28,000 followers. That's a lot. Wow.
Yeah, I know. His one video got like 1 million views, and I remember like waking up that morning and I was like, what the heck?
Oh my God. You should start pet photography. That would be
Oh,
the next big
I,
thing.
yeah, that's a good idea.
I think you should
Do you
add
want
that.
that royalty deal like for the soap works?
Yes, totally. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, you. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm gonna be making so much money off of you. All my ideas. Well,
Well, thanks so
so
much. This was exciting. It was fun.
so nice for you to be
All
on
right.
the show, and thank you so much.
Hi,
Bye.
Make sure to follow on Instagram and TikTok at heyhiwhoareyou.pod to stay up to date on new guests and new episodes.